All right, welcome back to Epic Masculinity, where we have epic conversations about what it means to be a masculine man in today's world. Uh, this week, we will be continuing our conversation from last week. We're going to be covering the topics of the importance of community, uh, core values, and what those mean as far as your personal growth and taking action. So, hope you guys enjoy. You just feel like, and you're grasping at straws, and I hear it when I hear a man desperately clinging to his marriage that is seemingly falling apart, and in a lot of cases is falling apart. They're clinging to that relationship because outside of that relationship they don't know who they are anymore, and that's really what they're screaming for. That's what they're fighting for, because that relationship resembles their complete identity at that point. Especially you take a man who's been married for 20 years. Right? For me, it was 16
Mm-hmm.
years. 16 years of my life that I had created an identity as a husband. I didn't have an identity as Adam. There were things Adam did, but Adam's identity was wrapped up as a husband. And when that came to an end, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who I was. And thank God I found a tribe. Thank God I found, you know, some men who were in the same place. And they say, hey, we've got this thing. We've got some stuff. It's pretty neat
Yeah.
if you follow it. If you do this work, it's great. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, yeah, that's what I need. And so I went all in. I invested in myself. I wrote the checks. I, put the card in the computer. I was all in. And when I found myself on the other side of that, it was like, this is where the service side, right? The service and the spiritual side come in. You know, the ministry I had been in was gone. I didn't know how to continue with ministry anymore. And God said, boom. Like the universe spoke to me and said, go teach other men. There's a lot more men who are exactly where you were a year ago that need to hear from you. And that's what I mean. Like my identity is no longer wrapped up in how well I provide for my family. I am remarried and I have a family to take care of, you know? But that's not my identity anymore. Heck, my identity isn't even really as Coach Adam here on, doing the show, although it's we're making it public and we're putting it out there, and we're doing this recording and
Yeah.
these conversations. It's still not who I am. It's a part of who I am. It's one of the things.
Mm-hmm.
Doing this helps me to be who I am. But if this went away today, I would still be me, and I would still have that purpose in front of me, and I would still be doing this somehow, some way, right? Because who I am is a man who helps other men get from where they are to where they want to be. But before that, I am a man who provides for my family spiritually, financially, physically, emotionally. And by family, I mean me first, family next.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't do it for me, I can't do it for anyone else. Yeah,
I think what's important here
I
is,
just jumped it all the way over
oh, go
to core
ahead.
values now. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'm going to pull back a little bit go back to the relational domain. Um, but I think it's going to be important that I do get back to the core values. So I'm going to try to tie it all in. I think what's huge here that you identified, there was a significant change in one of your domains that was brought to your attention. And in that, you had to make a significant change in oneself. And it's not, obviously, we became acquaintances, then friends, now partners, because we had similar stories, right? 17 years, marriage, floundering, all that stuff. So there was a significant change in the relational domain for both of us that brought us together in a tribe. But what's important to identify that for men, when a significant change happens in one of our domains that we um, live by or live through, I'll say live through sounds a little more connected. Live through, that's when the reality of something's off, we're not whole, comes into play. Because we have to own that internally, like by ourselves. People pointing it out doesn't help for a long term. It may sting in the moment, right? And that has to do with the stinging has to do with the lack of emotional stability at times. But in doing that, you had to reevaluate. Okay, yeah, I'm off relationally, and I'm going to fix the relational. But when you really started trying to fix the relational domain, you realized other areas that you had gaps in, other domains you had gaps in, right?
Mm.
Like, so as you worked on the relational domain, you found the gaps in the other domains. Your physical domain may have been lacking from lack of going to the gym and focusing on your relationship. Your financial domain, maybe you were investing and trying to buy flowers and stuff all the time, and buy your way back in. You lacked the connection with your God and having the prayer time or just the moments with Him. Even investing in yourself to educate yourself, to grow in the work environment, to grow as a person, as a man, as a husband, as a father, whatever that is, right? You lack the service, providing for others, right? Intentionally, with purpose. And obviously, emotionally, I can only imagine how in disarray you were. But in finding those gaps, right, you start annotating, you start taking notes, and you start building them. You start patching those gaps up. You start cementing them in. You realize there's a deeper part of you that you're not owning consistently, and that's your core values. There's a
Mm.
deeper part of you that you have to really go, well, what do I stand for and stand on, no matter what circumstance I am faced with? What drives me? What wakes me up in the morning and puts me to bed at night? And that's your core values, right? Who you are
Yeah.
as a man when things hit the fan. Who are you when challenge is so significant that you have to take action, right? It's core values. I am a man who will provide and protect for the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional safety and security and well-being of the ones I love. And in that, I have to understand what that really means. Does that mean my daughter's upset because her boyfriend said something? Now I'm going to go beat him up? No.
No.
But does that mean I'm available for her to have a conversation when she's ready or to inquire? Yeah. Yeah. To allow her the space to get it off. Does that mean when my son's angry, I teach him ways to get that anger out in a very safe and responsible way by hitting the punching bag or taking the sledgehammer to some spare tires I got out there? Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. Does that mean I allow him to go punch someone in the face that pissed him off at work? No, but I give him resources on how to deal with that so he can be emotionally stable when he's around me and when he's not. And so that's I mean that's it's a great point that you were making there is that there was a gap identified that you had to own that was so blatant and obvious that you had to reset and figure out what were all the gaps in your domains and begin to fix, patch, and put them together to make the whole of you complete.
Yeah.
But that's a continual process, right? It's like engineers always need to go test their work. You just got to keep testing your work. Hey, how do I add more? How do I cement this in better? How do I do it through my core values, right? Because if you're not taking steps forward, then you're falling back or whatever the thing is. Like you should always be moving forward, right?
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
some real line there. I don't know, but you get what I'm
I'm
saying.
sure it
Like
was. I'm sure it was
you either
very
progressing
profound.
or you're regressing.
Yeah,
It was by a
yeah,
profound person way before my time. But the truth of the matter is, if you're not taking steps forward, then you're standing in place, and life is moving past you. So you're really taking steps back. That's what it comes down to.
yeah.
So you got to keep
And
moving forward.
I don't want to sound like Ricky Bobby. You know, Ricky Bobby would say, "If you ain't first, you're last." But I feel like if you're not growing, you're dying. Right? If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
And um, I mean, you're absolutely right. The if you really want to figure out where you're lacking as a man, and what domains are you're just barely surviving in, because you don't ever want to be just surviving in a domain. You want to be a couple of them. You know, a couple of them. You want to be victorious. You want to be like, I'm epic. You know, I am epic
Yeah.
in my intellectual domain. I'm a smart mofo. You know, but if you're surviving in your physical domain, it doesn't matter how epic you are in your intellectual domain, because surviving means you're barely hanging on. You know, you want to at least be succeeding. You want to be getting it. You know, you don't have to be the most physical specimen. You don't have to be the smartest man. You don't have to be the wealthiest, and you don't have to be the most in touch with your feelings and emotions. But you have to be getting it in any of those domains, right? In all of the domains.
Yeah.
Because if you do all these things, I mean, if you can do all six of the domains below spiritual. But if you don't have faith in a higher power, you're not connected to something bigger than yourself. Let's just say it that way.
Hmm.
If you don't connect
Yeah.
to something bigger than you, then what's it for? It's hard to find meaning in life when you don't have that connection. But if you want to put that to the test, you want to put your domains to the test and how strong a man you are, get in a relationship, get married. Because that kind of relationship is going to expose where you're weak. And that's why, for those who go through what we've been through, when it comes to an end, right? And she says this isn't working, or she says anything that even feels critical. We always jump to she's just nagging me. She's being a bitch. She's a narcissist. Yeah, we say all these things. We say all these things because she made us feel something we already knew wasn't right. And we can either choose to own it, accept it, take responsibility for it, and clean it up, or we choose to be bitter, angry, and we turn into those men that be like, "Oh, you're better off without her. Marriage is blah blah blah." You know, you just don't even try to work it out. You know, you're just being a cuck, whatever. You know, that's. I mean, that's just making a willful choice to not look in the mirror. You feel that way because what she said you already believe, or
Mm.
whatever the reason is. You know, I'll be honest with you. I don't even know what the reason was for me. Just, 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 it just wasn't working. And I sat down and I looked at myself. I mean, after I went through about 3 or 4, maybe 6 months of blaming her, pointing the finger, trying to rally all the troops against her, and calling her a narcissist, and doing all these things, saying she had borderline personality. I did all that.
Hmm.
And then one day I was like, I got to stop. I can say all the mean things I want about her, but the truth is there's something broken inside of me. I can listen to everything society, friends, and family want to tell me that I need to do. But the truth is, I'm the only one that gets to say what my path is. And I have to fix that thing that's broken inside of me so that I can actually make that choice. that I can actually see what it is. That's the thing about men, right? We're stubborn. And until we make the choice to change the narrative, to fix the things, to look in the mirror, we're not going to do it. We're just going to blame everything else. We're going to blame society, blame the feminist movement all we want. You choose who you are. You choose how you show up. You can blame your wife, call her a narcissist all you want, but it's still your choice.
Mhm.
Blame your job, your employer. They don't understand you. They keep giving you the crap hours. They take advantage of you. You still make that choice. But you got to know who you are before you make a choice that's actually a solid choice. And you're just lashing out and getting angry or feeling hurt, feeling like a victim. That's all emotional. It's real. It's valid. I'm not going to take it away from you. But that's not the solid ground you need to stand on as a man. You have to become that solid ground that you stand on because you know who you are.
The bricks of your domain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, come on. Anybody can
Yeah,
build
you
that
got
building.
to.
There's only 7 bricks you got to put together. Right? Easy.
I,
Easy.
I think, on top of that, you have to build a solid ground. You have to give yourself grace when you're building too, though, right? When a man sits down and evaluates himself, he'll see he's like you said, surviving in some areas, he may be striving in others, and he could be thriving. But it's a matter of setting an actionable plan or actionable items to get the domains in sync to where they're all at least striving for more, for betterment, right? Where they're all pushing to thrive on their own. Just where it becomes habitual and routine for the man to do these things within the domains. But in that comes personal grace that says, this is where I'm at. This is where I could be. This is what it's going to take. I don't know all the ways and how, but I'm okay. I'm okay to start here. I'm okay to slide back and realize I don't have enough or don't know enough. And from that, have the strength to ask, how can I get better here? Right?
Mm.
How can I strive here? Ask other men that question. Like, how do you do it? How do you see maybe I can do it? And then be able to hear the feedback, to receive that as truth, right? Truth as truth to another man's perspective. But it doesn't have to be truth to your action. It could just be knowledge for you to develop the action.
Yeah. Hey, and we have a program to help men put that together.
We do. And we're pretty damn good at it too.
Yeah. I mean, but the man, you get anybody listening to this, you want to get involved, reach out to us, right? But that's you got to make that choice. You got to know you need it.
Yeah.
You got to
You
be
got to
able to
be.
look yourself in the mirror
There
and
it is.
say, it's time to get real. It's time to be honest. I got to stop fooling myself because I'm not fooling anybody else. And I need to take the steps I need to take. And when you're ready to do that, we're right here.
We're waiting.